So the Smile Be Happy campaign died in Camarillo because I'm not smiling, nor am I happy, to say the least. So now we're just going to start a new one called Why Don't You Just? And the first one is Why Don't You Just Get a Job? It is January 25th, 2022. And in the last month, I've had 3 to 5 women stop and go, give me money, but say, hey, why don't you just get a job? Now, mind you, if this was everyday women, then you would, brand new car, huh? Yeah. Then I would say, but these were women that you could tell were well coiffed and had never worked a day in their life. So for them to tell me that, like, really, is this some kind of abstract concept you heard about? Because busted a bead of sweat on your fucking ass never happened. But now everybody thinks I'm talking to somebody, so. But look at the parade. It just is astonishing, the volume. But this one, why don't you just get a job? It just came by a little while ago, the last one. A couple, 2, 3 other ones were up in Camarillo. But why don't you just get a job? Really? Okay, let me break this down a bunch of different ways. First, there's just the straight physicality of I'm out here because I need immediate cash help. So, how's that going to help me now? But then 2 is the cost of getting there and getting. But the 3 is that you can't get one virtually without a permanent address. 4 is access to a bathroom and rest before you go to work and to be able to prepare a lunch or something. So the logistics of the matter are overwhelming, although not insurmountable. Let alone, I'm lucky that we got the car that I could get somewhere if I had to or could. But then there's and then the money that it costs to maintain during the week or whatever. And what would I do? Go take Tracy to work and then leave her sitting in the car? I mean, people don't think about this kind of shit, and I don't blame them. It's not real. The thing that's not real is that it's unreal to me that out of all, I'm a piece of shit prick, but I have helped a lot of fucking people, and not one person I know has said, hey, Brian. And nobody's ever accused me of being lazy or being stupid, tweaking shit. When I build something at people's places or whatever, it's usually from a professional aspect. So I build things in a professional manner. And someone could say, hey, I need an addition on. I got a spare room in the back. You want to take that for a bit while you build this addition and I'll still pay you a little bit of money? And I would be like, fuck yeah. Out of all the sick-ass rich motherfuckers I know, not one. But more than that, then you get down to where, why don't I just get a job? Okay, well then we got past the daily. If you address the place to be and the money to operate in the meantime, somehow, some way. But then, it doesn't, I can't address my problems without money, so I'm still stuck waiting. My problems are mounting, and they mount at such an incredible rate that if I don't literally shovel my way through most of them every day, that I am drowned in my own shit. So, but beyond all that, I am 62. I don't play very well with others, never have. Even when I was a popular guy, I was known as an unpopular guy. So, and I got a ton of health problems, and I don't have any tools, and I don't know if I could do a hard day's framing right now. It'd be tough. I could work all day, but I would die that night. Maybe a couple weeks of that. But I am getting older. There's no doubt about that. Big difference between 62 and 31. Wow. I mean, that's the stuff of, unless you can find some kind of dietary or something that would start pulling it back, or even it up the playing field or something, get some extra years and just stay in stasis. Then I'd have to get working out so that I didn't feel so fucking terrible every day. Why don't I just? But then also, even if I was Joe fucking cool, 30 years old, had a truck full of tools, was fucking hard as a rock, built with muscle body, and fucking was a, sober, honest guy. Nobody just gets a job nowadays, even in the best case scenarios, let alone the worst. Well, we're not even going to talk about job history, because let me see, for the last 6 years, homelessness has, taken all my fucking time. So, it's not like I'm, and they go, well, what about your work history? Well, what about it? Before that, I had more work history than you do life. So, seriously, if I'm applying for it, I'm not in there saying, I want to do brain surgery. I'll stick with what I know. And I should be able to make a good, but people prorate you downward. You don't get extra points for experience and wisdom, even if you can outwork a fucking 25-year-old. You get prorated downward for age no matter what. I could be fucking Hulk Hogan in a day and still prorated down just because of the sheer numerical advancement of my chronological age. I could be Benjamin Button, growing younger by the day. But if you're still that many years old, well, there's got to be something wrong. Liability, you're brittle. You probably break if you fall. That's probably true. Although there's other things to working. You learn how to fucking not cut corners. You learn how to glide through life in a way, sort of. Certain tasks, like the everyday mundane necessity tasks, you just kind of like bank it. You don't want to go a direct shot. It makes it easier to get momentum and slingshot effect. But why don't you just get a job? And then there's my favorite. My favorite is, we're in California, where we did have the lowest unemployment rate in fucking, I don't know, more than almost a century. And then we then had, at one point, I think it was 14.7% here in LA area unemployment rate. That's fucking a lot of people out of work. Still, there's a lot of people. I think it's now around 8.8%. That's an incredibly high number. When it was the lowest ever, I remember it was 2.7 in about a year or two before Trump got out, before Biden came in, down to 2.7% unemployment rate. I had not been able to find work. There's people that'll say, oh yeah, I'll hire you, and then just totally gank you at the end of the daily labor or something. People are scandalous. And I, for a while, didn't have license and all that shit. But 2.7, we would go around, go panhandling. I would go hit people up. I would be calling people. I had a sign with me every time I went out for over a year and a half. We'll work for money. Got work? Give me work. I need work. Not one person in a year and a half worth of cars passing by me, not one person said, hey, I got a yard you can rake, or what the fuck, you know what I mean? Not one. Because I don't know, I'll give them some money, but I don't know if you can trust those fucking homeless people there, Well, what happened to why don't you just get a job? Well, why don't you just give me a job, motherfucker? How about this? I don't know where people get this idea about there's some kind of fucking lack of industry in the homeless people. There's not. They might be scandalous, they might be crazy, but they're not lazy, because it takes everything you got all day long, forever, just to get up, do the shit you need to do to survive at the bare minimum. That takes forever each day. People don't see that. They're like, oh, the guy's still alive. That's his accomplishment. You're still living. Because everything's stacked against you. You should be fucking dead. There's no... Why do people think that? Oh, yeah, it's easy. They just fucking lay around. Really? Just lay around? Because you will starve to death. Because these motherfuckers... you'll be a Holocaust victim and nobody's bringing you a sandwich. So... why don't you just go get a job? Well, why don't you show me how to do that? Even if I got a college education, I fucking look like Joe Manganiello and Elon Musk. If you don't kind of bend to each idiosyncrasies of different organizations or bosses, then you're going to fade too, and you got to be able to work with everybody. That takes a finesse and grace that a lot of people don't have, or at least for very long. I don't. It's not that I don't have it. I do when I want to. It's that when I don't want to, I just abandon it, and it gets scary for them. So usually, about the time I have the first argument with some boss, that's when I'm having the last argument. Why don't I just go get a job? Yeah. There's nobody hiring 62-year-old ex-convict carpenters that basically say whatever they want, whenever they want. I've always done that. But in the past, people were willing to overlook shit and pay you no matter what anyway. But now, there's so many starving faces, plus our job market, like any kind of, if you're not white collar, you are floundering because there's just too many bodies out there crowding around for the same little kibble. Why don't you just get a job? That's the big one. So everybody goes by and they think, oh, hey, motherfucker, he doesn't want to work. Oh, really? Okay. Because if I worked and I did all the it would be, life is a lot easier when you got a pad, by far. But I don't want to be tied down either. It's not that I appreciate living or like living it at all like that, but there's also, I don't want to be bound to the people that have treated me like shit for 6 years. Fuck that. And that's relatively short time compared to some of the longer term people. I met this guy here, a little bit whack, 20 years. You've got, Jimmy, he's a little bit whack, 40 years. And somewhere between the 20th and the 40th is when, I guess, humans give up trying. Because Jimmy, he don't even bother trying to go assimilate. And the other dude, he's angry that he can't. So, defeat undefeated defeat becomes depressing truth. And on that note, I will say sayonara.